I remember, through my years, producing Ring of Fire, a book came across my desk recently. A publisher sent it to me to see if we wanted to interview the author. And it was called Profiles in Insignificance, a history of the U.S. vice presidents. And that phrase always stuck with me, right? Profiles in insignificance. Because that is pretty much what most vice presidents end up being. And JD Vance, our current vice president, is no exception. The guy is completely insignificant. And the White House typically only brings him out to kind of run interference for them. Like when things go haywire and the White House's talking points simply aren't working, they'll send JD Vance out to go and do a little apology tour. So, of course, this week, they sent JD Vance out to go on a little apology tour to calm people down from all of the scandals that have rocked the administration in just the last, 8 days. 8 days of scandals that JD Vance is having to go out there to kind of calm people down. The first one, obviously one of the biggest, is FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, who went on the Benny Johnson podcast right before Jimmy Kimmel got suspended and threatened Disney and ABC, we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way. And then Disney immediately suspended him, causing massive public backlash. And of course, people understood the administration is in fact violating our freedom of speech by trying to censor the media. So Vance, at an event in South Carolina, North Carolina, had this to say about Brendan Carr's comments. What people will say is, well, didn't the FCC commissioner put a tweet out that said something bad? It's a joke on social media. What is the government action that the Trump administration has engaged in to kick Jimmy Kimmel or anybody else off the air? What government pressure have we brought to bear to tell people that they're not allowed to speak their mind? Zero, JD Vance said. Well, first off, as I had mentioned, what Brendan Carr said was not a tweet. He said it on the Benny Johnson podcast. And then after Kimmel was fired, Benny Johnson got on social media and amped it up, talking about, basically pointing out what Carr said on his podcast. So we have the chain of events there, JD. You don't get to rewrite history, mischaracterize what happened and then say how ridiculous it was based on that mischaracterization. It is, of course, a typical Republican tactic, right? You take a situation, you change what the situation actually was, then you respond to the fake situation, making it seem a little ridiculous. So there's JD Vance's first attempt trying to downplay this administration's attack on our freedom of speech, and he fails miserably. But that wasn't the only thing JD Vance had to address in North Carolina, no. Because let's not forget that this past Sunday at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, Donald Trump went out there and said, I hate my opponents, and I do not want the best for them. Literally what he said. Those are his exact words. I hate my opponents. I do not want what's best for them. Hate. This man's at a memorial after he just spent a week and a half telling us how the left is filled with hate. The left is violence. And Trump goes up on stage and says, man, I hate all those people. Wow. I hope bad things happen to them. So JD Vance was asked about that. And JD Vance clumsily attempted to defend it by saying, quote, well, I think the president was joking. Okay, so everybody's joking, right, JD? Anytime a Republican says something horrible or illegal or hateful, it's always, hey, they're joking. But then when somebody on the left actually tells a joke about it, you're like, nope, that's hate speech. This person needs to be silenced and shut down. And speaking of, back to the FCC thing real quick, you're talking about like nobody's cracking down on people's right to say anything. Pete Hegseth told members of the military to report any member of the military that talks bad about Charlie Kirk. Republican members of government were encouraging people to call people's employers if they said something bad about Charlie Kirk. Those are members of the government saying, if somebody says something we don't like, tell us so we can punish them. That's oppression. Anyway, Everything's a joke. Trump saying he hates people, that's a joke. But he continues. What the president was trying to do in this very humorous and very unique way was highlight how hard it is for us to forgive our enemies. It's kind of hard to forgive your enemies. It's kind of hard when people attack you and criticize you and even commit acts of violence against you. It's hard to engage in that act of forgiveness. And I think if you watch the president's comments, he was highlighting that real difficulty. I don't think that he was saying we should hate our enemies. I think what he was saying was that Christ's commandment to love our enemies is very tough, actually. It's tough to live up to in practice, but we still have to try. That is not at all what Donald Trump was saying, JD, and you know it. If you watch his full remarks, those are the full remarks. He went on to attack J.B. Pritzker. He went on to attack Jimmy Kimmel. He went on to attack other political enemies of his and political organizations that he hates. He never once said, I hate them, and I shouldn't hate them. He didn't say, I don't want what's best for them, but I should. No, he didn't say any of that, JD. You are putting words in his mouth to sanitize the hate that he delivered during a eulogy. That's not how this works. So, for the life of me, I cannot understand why this administration is sending out JD Vance to smooth things over when he is clearly one of the dumbest people in what is already the dumbest administration we have ever seen. Thanks for watching, everyone. You know, we're inching closer and closer to 1 million subscribers, and we're aiming to hit that goal before the year closes. So if you aren't subscribed to the channel, please do so, and don't forget to like, comment, and share. Thanks for joining us as we head towards this huge milestone.